everyone. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Scott with Corporate Fitness Works here at Aspiria Fitness Center. Today you're joining me for a mobility and more class. All you'll need today is just your mat or some floor space that you're comfortable with. Of course, we'll use our body weight for some, and make sure you have a water bottle with you for a quick drink to stay hydrated here. So we're going to start today in the seated position. We'll work on our neck and shoulders, and we'll work our way down the body a little bit here. So we're going to start in our seated position. We're going to use a timer today. We'll have timers, timed rounds that are just under a minute. We'll have a quick 10 to 12 second transition to get in between each new position. So first, we're going to start here in our seated position. We have a neck three-way movement. So we're going to work on warming up these neck muscles and loosening our shoulders and neck a bit here. So we're starting our timer. Our first neck movement is a side-to-side lateral flexion. We're going to work on driving our ear over to our shoulder here. And we're going to just alternate each side slowly throughout the round. So we'll begin here in 3, 2, 1, and the clock has begun. So we're just going to sit here, keep nice and tall shoulders, and we're going to gently roll our neck side to side, forcing our way toward that opposite shoulder with our ear here. Try to get the ear as close to the shoulder as we can. We'll start to feel a stretch on the opposite side of our neck there. Push to the point of our stretch. We don't want to push into pain. So if we're feeling any pain, please refrain from the exercise here. We're just gently leaning side to side. We may feel that range of motion increase slightly throughout our round here. We've got about 10 seconds left. Just gently pushing ear to shoulder here before we move on to our next one. Make sure we keep our nice tall chest, but we're also not shrugging our shoulders up to those ears. Good, so we'll relax. So our next movement here is for our neck flexion. We're just going to tuck our chin down and then extend our chin up to the sky. We're going to still keep that nice tall chest, and we'll begin here. So tucking our chin down, shoulders away from our ears, and we drive up to the sky with that chin as well. So we're tucking the chin, slowly alternating between those two positions, chin tuck and extension. We push to the point where we feel a good stretch. We don't want to experience any pain during this, so please stop if you feel any pain. We just want to force our way through that stretch just a bit here, feeling some of that tension, maybe increasing our range of motion a little bit as we go here. 10 seconds left. We've got a few more cycles through our flexion and extension before we move to our last neck movement today. Good, and there's our break. Our last movement is turning our chin, looking over our shoulders side to side. We'll try to make it a full 180 degrees. Work on increasing that range of motion if you can throughout the round. There's our timer begun. We're shifting, looking over left and to our right shoulder, feeling that stretch on the opposite side. When we look over our shoulder, looking over my right shoulder, I'm feeling a deep stretch along the back left side of my neck. So again, we're trying to reach that full 180 degree turn, looking over that shoulder, and even farther, of course. If you have the range of motion today, please continue to drive past it. Of course, we stop if we feel any pain radiating throughout our neck or shoulders here. We're going to continue driving here for the last 10 seconds or so, looking over that shoulder as best we can, feeling that stretch in our neck begin to loosen up a little bit here. And relax, good. We'll move on to a little bit of T-spine movement here. So we're going to put arms behind our head, locking those fingers, and we're going to spend this round driving our elbow back behind us here. So we twist at the spine. We're trying to keep our head stable in this one here. So we're just twisting side to side, driving that elbow back behind us. Feeling that stretch, feeling our mid-back open up a little bit. We probably have quite a bit of tightness here, so we drive, maybe hold for that side just a second. Feel that stretch starting to happen in between our shoulder blades there. And of course, we can take a rest if we need it. If we start to feel a little bit of fatigue setting in, we're not working at too high of an intensity, but we still can get fatigued from this. So please take a break if you need to. We're in our final 5 seconds or so. Let's drive and push that elbow back one more time on each side. Good, there's one. And our last drive. There's our break around as well. So we're gonna come up into a tall kneel for this next movement here. Tall kneel is on our knees with our glutes extended here as well. So we're off our heels. And from here we tuck those elbows in now, and we're gonna work on rounding our back and then extending those elbows up to the sky. So we're feeling that extension again in our thoracic spine area and our mid upper back, especially as we drive those elbows way up to the sky there. So we come down, tuck the elbows, rounding our back, and then we drive up to the sky, feeling that extension in our mid back. We've got 20 seconds left. Take a break if you need it. Continue driving those elbows, pushing those shoulder blades down and feeling that extension in our mid back. We're in our final 10 seconds. One more tuck, and our last drive up to the sky, pushing those elbows through to finish the round. Nicely done. We're going to move on from here into our tabletop position, where we'll start a round of bird dogs here. So we're in our all fours, alternating arm and leg, opposite arm and leg, making a fist straight out in front, and are pushing our heels straight back into the wall behind us to maintain that neutral spine and our low back region. So we're just going to slowly alternate. Go as quickly as you can here without losing stability. Speed and reps are not our goal here today. We're just getting some movement, engaging our core here, and keeping that heel and hand in a nice straight line to avoid that overextension in our low back region. So continue driving that fist and heel, lock it in place for about a second at the top of our movement there before we switch onto our next one. So we've got 5 seconds. We're going to get one more on each side. And from here, I'm going to turn so we can see better. We're going to start on our right leg for what's called a hip car. So this round we'll turn this way. So we're going to bring our leg out, and we bring that knee up and around into this position here. And then we're going to bring it all the way back around to the ground. So trying to keep our core stable, and we're going to bring that knee up and around, and then repeat the movement backwards all the way down to our starting position. So we're going to continue this movement for the whole round here. Starting to feel those hips loosening up a bit here. We've got to engage our core to keep that spine as neutral as we can, right? But we will allow for some movement as we rotate that hip up and around. We bring our knee back down to the mat and repeat. We've got just over 10 seconds left, so we'll get a few more reps on this leg before we move on. Here's our last 3 seconds. So finish up that rep, bring your knee out nice and wide and relax down. Good. From here, we're going to stay in our tabletop position, and we're going to do an elbow twist up to the sky again, like so, in our tabletop position. So we'll put that hand behind our head, our round has begun. We're twisting that elbow down to the mat, and then we're coming up into that extension as best we can, driving our elbow up to the sky. Keeping our core and hips as square as we can, really feeling that thoracic spine movement once again as we drive our elbow way up to the sky. We're going to finish this round, and then we'll repeat our cars and our elbow on the left side of our body. So we're going to shift back down to our hip and complete those cars next here. And there's our break period. So we'll do the same thing all on our left side of our body. So I'm going to turn back around this way so we can see that side opening up nicely here. So we're beginning with that hip car. So we're going to bring our knee up, out wide and around, all the way back. And then we reverse the motion to bring our knee tucked into the mat again. Trying to keep our core active here as well. Again, we will have a little bit of movement at our core and hips, and that's okay, but we want to stabilize the rest of our body as best we can here. So keep lifting and rotating that hip. Feel all that rotation in our hip joint there. We can maybe feel our range of motion or our ability to move that just a little bit increase through the round. So hopefully we're feeling that. In our last 10 seconds here, we'll get 1 or 2 more reps in, and we'll go back to our elbow rotation. in the tabletop. So there's our last hip card. We're here, still in our tabletop. We're going to engage our hips and core once again. We've got our elbow drives, opening up that thoracic spine yet again here to start our round. On the left side, so we drive that elbow down to the mat, and then we're going to twist up to the sky, opening up our chest and mid-back in the process. Don't forget to take a nice big deep breath here, and exhale at the top. Feeling that stretch in our spine. Trying to get some nice rotation in our shoulders here while our hips stay relatively square to the floor and the mat. We're going to continue driving that elbow. We've got about 12 seconds to go, so we'll get a few more nice slow reps as we drive that elbow. Focus on a twisting extension at our upper back area there. So last one here for 3 seconds. We're going to drive that elbow and hold. Good, and relax. From here, we're going to take our table position and we're going to kick one leg out to the side. And for this round, we're going to rock back onto our heels, and we're feeling a deep stretch on the inside of our thigh here, our adductor region. So as we sit back, we feel that stretch. We can hold our stretch for 2 to 3 seconds at the bottom, down by our heel, and then raise back up off of that. And we feel that we can sink in deeper and feel that stretch increase every time we get through the rep, right? So adjust your knee position as you need to. Sink back nice and slow. We feel that deep stretch. We want to keep our toe pointed forward here as well. We've got about 10 seconds left. We're going to keep rocking. One more rep. There we go. Good. And we'll take our table position again. And this time we're going to thread the needle arm through the hole, and this will be a static hold. We'll just hold that for the entirety of the round here. In 2, 1, and we begin. So stick that arm through the hole. We can drop it to our elbow on the other side if we want to, and we can rest some of our weight on that bottom arm that's fully extended. Feeling a nice deep stretch on the back of our shoulder and shoulder blade. Drive that arm through farther if you can. And if you need to come up and reset, please feel free to do so. We're going to stick that arm all the way through. And again, we're just going to do a static hold, so holding that stretch here for the remainder of our round. Just over 10 seconds left. Take a nice big deep breath in and out. And we'll reset on the other arm here shortly. Feeling that stretch all across the back of our shoulder. Good, and relax. So we'll slowly come up out of that, pull our arm through, and we're going to switch sides. So we're going to go back to our adductor and repeat that whole thing on the left side. So we kick our leg out, and we sink back onto our heels, feeling that stretch. Remember, our toes of our outstretched leg are pointing forward to maintain the stretch on our inner thigh here. Sink back onto our heel and relax there for a second or two in that deep stretch position, and then return to our extended position. We'll gently rock back and forth here. Another 20 seconds left, so if you need to reset, go ahead. We exhale as we sit back onto that heel, feeling the deep stretch in our hip there. 10 seconds to go. Get ourselves 1 or 2 nice slow reps left before we take that tabletop position again and thread the needle through our other side. Good, so now we're threading our left arm through that hole that we created in our tabletop position. And as again, this is a static hold, so we will hold for the entirety of the round, barring a reset if you need to. So of course, feel free to reset your position if you need to. And we're in our round, so we're going to thread that needle, sticking our arm through, and then we sink down onto that shoulder, feeling that nice stretch all across the back of the shoulder and the shoulder blade. And of course, we're feeling a bit of rotation in our thoracic spine as well, in the mid-back. So drive that hand through as best you can. Don't worry about resetting if you need to. Go right ahead. We've got 20 seconds left, so you can come out of this position and put your arm through again if you need to. Finishing strong with that static hold, our last 10 seconds here. Nice big deep breath in and out. And as we exhale, we fall onto that shoulder for our last few seconds of stretching. Good. Nicely done. We're going to spend our last round in this position in our frog pose from our tabletop. So we're going to open up our hips and knees and finish stretching out those adductors that we just worked on with our rock back. So now our knees are nice and wide from that tabletop position, and we're going to sink back down onto those hips for another static hold to finish our tabletop position right now. So come off the hips if you need to. We can relax it and sit back down. Try and hold for long chunks of time. We don't have to hold it for the whole round, but we can sink onto our elbows as well and push back and really feel that stretching of our adductors, really opening up these hips. For our last 15 seconds, we can come up off that stretch. One more big breath in, and we exhale, sinking into that static stretch for one last time. Our final 10 seconds here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Nicely done. Okay, we're done with our tabletop position for the time being. Let's come up into a tall kneel. We can roll our shoulders out here. We've spent some time in our tabletop position, right? So get those shoulders away from your ears, shrugging them down, get a few rolls and shake our arms out. Before we commence our next position, we'll spend some time on our back position here. We'll start with some dead bugs and some lumbar twists for our low back and hips still. So our first round is our dead bug, where we are on our back here. We want to maintain a neutral spine, so there will be a slight arch in our low back. We don't need to completely flatten it, but we don't want to be arched either. So find a natural, comfortable position for your low back. We still want to engage our core. We don't need to flatten our back completely though. So from here, arms and legs are straight up in the air, and we're going to do just like our bird dog. We alternate arm and leg, slowly out into an extension, and then come back here, keeping our core tight the entire time. So we'll feel that nice stretch in our hip flexors as well as we slowly extend that leg out. So dead bugs, for our full round here. Reps are not part of our goal, so take it nice and slow, just working on commanding our body, keeping our core engaged, and slowly completing those movements. So we are ready to go. Slowly driving our heel down, float that heel, and we're pointing our thumb down to the mat, and then we slowly return to our position. Again, reps are not our goal here, so go as slowly or as quickly as you feel comfortable. Our goal is to keep our core tight and maintain that nice neutral spine in our back as we extend and move our limbs throughout this motion. We want a stable core with moving limbs, right? When we drive out, drop that heel down, don't let it touch, and return to the top. Slowly but surely, we've got our final 10 seconds left. Get a few more good quality reps in here. Extending those arms and legs out. And there we are. From here, we're going to rest our feet on the ground, and we're going to slowly, gently just shift knees to the left and the right here, feeling a stretch on the outside of our hip and in our low back region just a little bit. So that's our round. So we gently shift to the side, let those knees hang for a second or two, and then we come back up to the other side. We're just going to gently rock our hips back and forth here. Remember to let those knees hang just for a second or two on each side so we feel a stretch on a little bit of our upper hip and outside of our core there before we shift to the other side. Final 15 seconds here. Take a nice big deep breath in now as we slowly work through these lumbar twists here. A few more shifts, one or two more on each side, and we're going to come back to our dead bug. Good, and there's our break. So we're back into our dead bug position, arms and legs up in the air, slowly and controlled movements as we extend our hip and our hand out into this full extension. We don't want to let them touch them. Try and keep tension on our hip flexors here as we lower that heel as close to the ground as we can get it. We're maintaining that nice neutral spine, and our core is engaged here. So again, we have a stable trunk and just a little bit of movement in our limbs, right? So we're working on that core stability while we have movement in our lower and upper extremities. we're feeling those hip flexors strain just a little bit maybe. So feel free to relax if you need to. Take a breath and reset. We're not going for reps again, so just working on slow quality reps here to control that core when we have movement in our limbs. Good, and from here, we're back to our lumbar position. From here, we're gonna separate our knees a little bit. So we have knees not together. We'll dip to each side like so. So we're gonna spread those feet out. So open up your feet a little bit, and we're gonna shift those legs to the side once again. But we have a little bit more separation at our legs and our hips now. So same idea. We're just gently letting those knees hang, but we have those knees separate now. So we're feeling a little bit different stretching in our hips, especially on this top hip that's on the inside leg, basically we can describe it as. Feeling a nice stretch across the top of that hip. Sinking knees to the side. So my feet are roughly outside my mat here, right on the edge of that mat. So it gives us a little bit more space to work with our hips. Last 10 seconds. Get a nice stretch and hang there, feeling good in our hips and low back right now, right? Last one, and go ahead and relax. Nicely done. From here, we're gonna lay flat on our back, and we're gonna just do a classic knee pull. We're gonna static hold that the whole time. So we're gonna go ahead and let our countdown timer for our break take us into it. So when you hear the beep, we're ready to go. We're gonna try and keep our opposite leg nice and flat, fully extended here as we pull that other leg up to our chest, feeling a big pull in our glutes, quads, and our hamstrings here. And again, we're gonna try our best to keep our extended leg completely flat here. And we'll feel some nice separation in our hips and groin as well. So again, just a static hold here. So focus on nice, slow breathing, 2 to 3 second inhale and 2 to 3 second exhale. As our time passes, we can increase that stretch on our bent, flexed knee. So we're gonna continue pulling that up towards our armpit and our chest. All the while, we're maintaining that nice extended leg, nice and flat on the ground, feeling that stretch for our last 10 seconds. Increase that squeeze, get a big pull for our last few seconds. We're feeling the stretch, right? And 2, 1, and we'll slowly switch legs here. So we're gonna slowly extend that flexed knee out, and we'll go ahead and pull our other knee up to our chest here. And there's our timer. So we're gonna get a big squeeze on our flexed knee, of course, pulling up toward our chest, all while our right extended leg is fully extended here, keeping that contact with the ground to maintain that stretch in our hips and groin area as we continue to increase the stretch on our flexed knee. If you have the motion, go ahead and keep pulling a little bit tighter. Every few breaths, we should feel a little bit more range of motion, right? We're gaining that range of motion here. We've got about 15 seconds left, so take a big breath in and out, exhale, inhale, and as we blow all our air out for the final 10 seconds or so here, we're gonna deepen that stretch. So we're keeping that extended leg flat on the ground, pulling as best we can up on that flexed knee, feeling a good stretch and separation in our hip. Good, and we're gonna slowly relax that leg extended out here. From here, we're gonna take our open book position. We're flat on our side here. Feet and knees are together. We want to bring our knees up. We don't need to come into a full 90-degree angle here, but we do want them flexed. So give yourself a little bit more space here. What we'll do for this round is open up our palm, like we have the pages of our book here. We're opening up, driving that arm back to the wall or the floor behind you. We're going to initiate that drive with our shoulder blade over the top. So we drive that shoulder blade back and down, and then we finish bringing our arm over the top. So we're just going to do slow, controlled reps for this whole round. Feel free to hold your knee down here if you need to. So here we are, and we're right on time with our timer there, and we hold our knee down. We're initiating the drive with our shoulder blade, and we try to get the back of that hand all the way to the floor as best we can. So feel for that range of motion to increase throughout the round. We're initiating with our shoulder blade. So we come up here, shoulder blade is now pinched back, and we drive that over the top, driving our wrist as far as we can, getting that touch. So again, you can leave your hand here or feel free to hold your hips and knees in place so that we make sure that we're getting that full rotation at our shoulders and our T-spine rather than rolling over at the hip. If it's more comfortable for you as well, we can extend that bottom leg out all the way. We can increase our range of motion just a bit there for our last one. So we can repeat that on the other side. So I'm going to have my back to you here. You can see what it looks like from the back side as I drive that shoulder blade over and bring my palm. So again, you can have your bottom leg extended out if you'd like, if that's more comfortable for you. We're coming up over, initiating with the shoulder blade and then driving the back of that palm all the way to the back as we can. Continue slowly driving with that shoulder blade first and letting your arm follow over the top. Don't forget to hold your hips and knees if you need to. Make sure we're focusing the stretch of the motion in our upper spine region and the shoulder. So don't forget to pinch that shoulder blade back every time and get a nice stretch, engaging those rotator cuff and shoulder blade muscles. Driving the back of that hand all the way to the mat or the floor if we can get it there. Good, and we relax. Those are our open books. So we're going to come back to our other side, and now in place of our open book, we're going to stay thumbs down and do a shoulder arc all the way over the top and back. So again, we can hold our knees down here if we need to. From here, we drive our shoulder arc. Keep that thumb pointed down the whole time, opening up our chest and shoulders all the way, that full 180-degree arc, right? And we slowly keep driving that shoulder over the top. Keep that shoulder blade engaged, pinched down and back so that we're working on this nice movement at our shoulder joint here. This can also be done with our bottom leg extended as well, if that's comfortable for you. If we feel like we have a little bit more action in our spine, go ahead and do that. We've got our final rep here, driving that thumbs down all the way back and finishing. So we'll repeat the same thing on our other arm. So we'll flip over here again. We're going to lock those hips in place with our hand and drive that thumbs down all the way up and around. Keep that shoulder blade nice and locked in as we drive our thumb all the way back behind us and we come back over. Slow breaths as we complete these arcs as well. Don't forget about your breathing. Inhale, and as we exhale, we arch all the way across, blowing that air out, and then we inhale on the way back over here. Slow and controlled, keeping those hips square, driving with our shoulder blade first, arcing that arm over the top, nice and slow, completing the motion back at the beginning. Driving that arm, nicely done. We're going to stay right here on our back for our last one. Some hamstring extensions for this round. We'll have one leg extended. We're going to pull one leg up here. We can lock our fingers right behind our knee there to help support our leg. And we're going to just work on slowly extending those feet and toes up to the sky, feeling that nice stretch of the hamstring. If you're looking like me, you won't get it very far up there. We've got nice tight hamstrings here, but we're working on it. So we'll let our countdown begin. When the beep starts, that's the beginning of our round. So lock those fingers up, give yourself some support behind the knee here, and we're going to work on slowly kicking that and driving that leg up there. Hopefully we can get to a nice full extension. You guys will be looking better than I am, hopefully, here. My notoriously tight hamstrings don't like this one. So continue driving that up. Kick the toe up and hold it there for 2 to 3 seconds. We feel that stretch deep in our hamstring. And of course, we aim to extend that range of motion throughout the round here, if we can, if you've got it today. Otherwise, we're just working on the slow motion. Try and kick it up and extend there, feeling the tightness. Noting that the hamstrings might be tight. We want to spend a little extra time on our hamstrings. I know I do. We're going to get 1 or 2 more kicks in here before we switch to our other leg. Good, and we're going to kick that other leg down and relax. We'll bring our other foot up here, lock those fingers in behind your knee, and we're going to go ahead and begin those kicks when we hear our beat. So again, we're Kicking those toes up to the sky, feeling a deep stretch. Not quite as tight on this leg today, so that feels great. And we're working on increasing that range of motion throughout the round here. If you've got it in you, we're just slowly working on some movement. If we're really tight, just drive the foot up as comfortably as we can, and we'll feel a stretch happen no matter what, right? So we're really going to try and kick and feel that full extension, really forcing our hamstrings into a little bit of discomfort there. If you have some pain, we want to stop, of course. We need to get into a little bit of an uncomfortable position sometimes to deepen that stretch, right? So finishing up our last 10 seconds, 1 or 2 more kicks and holds, feeling that stretch in the hamstring. Last one on 3, kick and hold 2, 1, and relax. Nicely done. Go ahead and relax here. Let those legs hang for just a second here before we transition into our next block. So we can extend arms and legs out. We're feeling those hamstrings relax a little bit here now. So we're going to take a brief 10 or 15 seconds here. Just take a nice big deep breath in here in our flat pose here. And we're going to reset ourselves. So one more big breath in and out. Feeling those hips and hamstrings relax. And we exhale. Good. From here, we're going to come back into our tabletop position very briefly for one child pose stretch, where we're just going to sink back onto our hips, feeling that extension in our back and upper body here, and we'll hold that for the entirety of the round. So we've got our 5-second countdown happening here, and as we hear the beep, we begin our round. So we sink into the child's pose there, driving our shoulder blades up to our ears, feeling a nice stretch in our back. As we sink our forehead down to the mat, feeling that extension and our T-spine in between those shoulder blades, getting a nice deep stretch. Take a big breath in and out. Sink back farther onto those hips, sink our head down to the mat. And don't be afraid to come up and reset if we need to. Sink back down into that child's pose today. For our final 15 seconds or so here, shoulder blades up by our ears. Sinking our head down to the mat for our final few seconds here. And relax, nicely done. So we're going to come up out of our tabletop position into our, this is our half kneeling position today. We're going to finish up a few more here before we call it a day. So our half kneeling hip flexor for the first one, for the full round. And we are going to squeeze the glute on my knee that's down here. So that's going to bring us into a posterior pelvic tilt, and then we can slowly shift our weight forward to feel that stretch. So we're going to let our countdown take us away here. So again, we're arched here. So when I squeeze that glute, you see my body shift underneath me a little bit, and then we can slowly lean forward and feel that nice stretch on our hip flexor. So spend a few seconds there, and then relax and come off it. We don't want to bounce. We don't want to aggressively lean forward, but we just, with our squeezed glute here, we feel that nice stretch on the front, sink into it for 3 to 4 seconds, and rest. We're not doing bouncing, but we do want to slowly get a little bit of movement in that hip flexor as we stretch it. So again, I'm keeping this glute nice and tight, so my core is active, and I've got a flat back here, and we're really feeling that stretch when we lean forward into the hip flexor. 15 seconds left on this leg. Last one, we're going to sink in for our final 5 seconds. Sink in and hold it. Make sure that glute stays squeezed. Feeling that deep stretch here, and relax. Nicely done. We're going to switch that to our other leg. So get into our half kneeling position. Don't forget to squeeze that glute. We feel our hips scoop underneath us a little bit there. And that's how we have that nice stretch on our hip flexor. So we begin, and we slowly shift our way forward, feeling that nice stretch right on the front of our hip there, and then relax. Try and maintain the tension on our glute the whole time, and our core as well, to keep that hip flexor in a nice position to stretch. Good. We've got 20 seconds left. Keep that tension on the hip. Sink into it for 3 or 4 seconds. We're feeling that great pull on the front of our hip there, and we relax. We've got 1, 2 more here. Let's sink on this one and hold. We're going to relax, and we're going to sink on for our last 5 seconds here. Go ahead. 4, 3. Keeping that glute squeeze, keeping our core tucked and relaxed. Nicely done. Our next one here, we're going to stay in this kneeling position here for a bit, and we're going to go ahead and now sink our weight. We're going to open up our foot a little bit, and we're going to sink our weight over to the side so we feel a nice stretch on the inside of our thigh once again here. So we're beginning our round right now. That's our timer ticking. So we shift that weight out to the side for 2-3 seconds and then return to our tabletop position. Again, my knee is out, not quite at a full 180 degrees, but opening up that hip nice and wide, and we sink down, especially feeling a stretch on our down knee, but we'll feel it everywhere in our hip here. So 20 seconds left. Continue that motion, keeping our core nice and tight, and we're squeezing, feeling those tight hip flexors and adductors opening up a little bit more here. Last 10 seconds, let's get 1 or 2 more good reps in, and we're going to switch to the other side. Good. So we're ready to go. Again, we're in our half kneeling position, opening up that leg a little bit more so it's out to our side right at a nice wide angle. And then of course we sink our weight to the other side. Try to keep a nice tall chest here as well. And we're going to slowly sink in. Feel that stretch here for 2-3 seconds. And then we come back up off that hip and relax. We're going to finish this leg, and we'll do a few rounds through with some standing movement in. We'll get a little bit more movement in off our mat, and then we'll be ready to finish our session today. So we've got about 10 seconds left. Get 1 or 2 more good reps. Keep that chest nice and tall. Feeling our core work as we shift our weight to the side. Good. One more nice deep stretch. Feeling that stretch in our groin. Nicely done. Okay. We're going to finish today on our feet with the last few moments of our class here. Take a break if you need it. Take some time to grab some water if you need it, and we'll be ready to go. So we're going to go through our final motions here. We're going to go through 5 rounds all the way through of a nice little complex here for our full body. So what we'll do is we'll stand at the beginning of at the front of our mat here, and we'll start with an inchworm. We're going to walk out to our tall plank position where we step into our palm with one hand, twist ourselves up to the sky with that T-spine. We'll switch sides and then we'll come up into a pike. So I'll give one run through here, and then we'll get a few rounds in of our full body for ourselves when we finish up. So we're here and we walk out into our tall plank position. We like to call this the world's greatest stretch in class sometimes. So we step up into our palm, and on that arm, we twist up to the sky and hold for just a second. Return our palm to the mat. We switch sides. Repeat on that side. And then from here, back into our tabletop. We're going to walk up into a pike, and we're going to pump heels 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we'll walk all the way back up to the top of our inchworm. So we're going to repeat 5 cycles of that, and then we'll call it a day here on our class. So let's go ahead and get some nice full body movement all the way from the top all the way into our tall plank with those rotations. So we're starting at the base of our mat. We walk those hands out. We've got to get 5 rounds. So here's number 1. We're hinging at the hip. Shoot those hips back. Feel the stretch along our hamstrings. We're going to walk our hands out into that tall plank. From here, we step to our palm. We've got a nice stretch in our groin here, and then we twist up. Follow that lean hand up to the sky with our head, watching with our eyes, and then we switch sides, twisting with our other side. From here, we're back into our tall plank. Come into a pike position, and we're going to drive heels 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we'll come all the way back up. That's 1 round. We've got 4 more to go. Let's finish strong here. Starting to get a little bit of motion in our full body. So let's walk those hands out for round 2. Find that nice tall plank where we engage our core here. And we'll step into our palm and follow your lead hand with your eyes up to the sky before switching. We're going to walk back into a pike, and we'll drive heels 1, 2, 3, and 4. before we finish all the way back to the top. So there's round 2. We've got 3 more rounds. Let's pick up the pace a little bit and finish strong here for the last few minutes of our class today. Don't forget to breathe. Take a break if you need it here while we finish up. We're walking out for our last 3. Walk out those hands. Step into our palm. We're feeling a deep stretch in our hips and groin. Eyes follow our lead hand up to the sky on each side. And into our pike with our 4 heel pumps. 2 more all the way through the circuit. We're almost there. We're feeling like we're working a little bit now, right? So let's finish up our last 2 rounds. Sink those hips back, feeling a stretch on our hamstrings as we walk out into our tall plank where we can lock it in for just a moment. We step, twist, and we switch sides. Walk up into our pike, pump heels, 1, 2, 3, 4, and walking back up into our beginning spot of our inchworm. For our last rep, let's make it happen. Finishing strong here, hinging at the hip, sink those hips back, feeling the tension on our hamstrings. We're gonna walk our hands out, locking our tall plank here, nice and strong. Engaging that core, step up in, twist toward the sky, follow that lead hand with your eyes. And we're gonna come up into our final pike. Pump those heels, 1, 2, 3, 4, and walking ourselves all the way back up into our final position here. So let's hit the mat flat on our backs. Just lay here and relax for the final minute or 2 here. Arms and legs fully extended out into our X pose here, flat on the mat, where we'll take a few quick deep breaths. 5-second inhale. We'll try and hold for 5 seconds and then exhale for 5. So let's breathe in. And we'll hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and we exhale slowly for 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And we'll begin that inhale. Nice and slow 5-second count. Then we hold for 5 seconds. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. One more big cycle all the way through. Take a nice big deep breath in, 5 seconds. 3, 2, and we hold it. 5, 4, 3, 2, and exhale, nice and slow, blowing all that air out. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. There we have it. We're nice and relaxed. Now feel free to repeat that breathing cycle a few more times or stay on our mats here for just another moment if we want to feel like we need to relax a little bit more. That is all we have for you today. That is our mobility and more. I'm Scott at Aspiria Fitness Center with Corporate Fitness Works. I hope you guys enjoyed my session today. Please leave me a like or a comment. I'd love to know what you guys thought about today's class. I love hearing from you guys and getting feedback, so please let me know how you feel. Hopefully you will come visit us soon in the fitness center. Once again, I'm Scott at Aspiria Fitness Center. Mobility and more. Thank you for joining me and have a great day.